So hi there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial video, I will show you how to connect your React application with MySQL database in full depth. But before starting the video, I would like to introduce you to the Limitless Downloader website. Wait, this is not a promotional video. Limitless Downloader website is used for downloading YouTube videos in one click. So if you want to download your YouTube video, just copy your video's URL, visit limitlessdownloader.com. The link will be provided in the description below. Paste your URL over there and click on convert. Your link will be converted to the video, and when you click on download, your video will start downloading automatically. So that's the best thing, and it will be downloaded in 4K and 720p quality. So why it is used for? So for an example, if you're watching a tutorial video and if you want to save this tutorial video, somehow if the user deletes the tutorial video from his channel, or somehow, like for an example, you're not having an internet connection, so how you will watch the tutorial video? So you need to download that video, and to download that video securely and fastly within one click, visit Limitless Downloader website, copy the URL of the video, paste it inside the form tab, select the quality you need to download depending on your internet connection. After that, click on convert button. Your downloading will start automatically. Alright guys, so without wasting the time, let's jump right into the video and see how to connect your React application with MySQL database. Let's start. So alright guys, so I will be explaining my folder structure. So as you can see over here, I do have two directories. One is named as server and one is named as user. In my user directory, I do have my front end, that means React application. In my second directory named as server, in which I do have my backend, that is running with the help of Node. And you can just ignore this client directory over here. Alright, so I have already set up my project. I have created my Node project for backend and I have set up my front end with some login and registration form. So we will be connecting our React application with our MySQL database, and we are going to be registering the user and we are going to be logging in the user. So as you can see over here, I do have my front end in which I have not done anything. I do have two forms. One is our login form and one is our registration form, and I have provided some of the stylings to it. So let's close our styling. Now let me explain you the packages that we need to connect our React application with MySQL database. So as you can see right over here, for our React application, we need the package known as Axios. The link will be provided in the description below for downloading this package in your React application. That's it. We need only one single package for our front end. Now let's come to our backend. As you can see over here, we do have our backend, that means our node package.json file, and these are the four packages that we need for connecting to our MySQL database. First package named as codes, second is an express package, third is MySQL package, and the fourth and the last one is nodemon package. Of course, that we will be using for live restart for our backend. It will really help us. Alright, so let me just close out my package.json file, and now let me open our index.js file. So now the main work is in our index.js file and our app.js file. This file is used to write backend code, and this is used to write front-end code, in which we're going to be adding the functionality. So when the user clicks on that, we need to register that input data, and this is going to be our backend code. So first we are going to be starting from the backend code. We will be writing all of the functionality, how our code will be registered, how the user will be logged in, how we will be connecting to the database. After writing the backend functionality, then let's come to the easy part. The easy part is just going to be connecting it to our form. What we are going to do is we are going to be connecting our backend to our front end, our registration and login form. It's that simple. So let's start coding our backend to connect to our MySQL database. So as over here I'm using the PHP MyAdmin, so I have started my XAMPP control panel in which I have started two servers. One is Apache and second is MySQL. And over here I will show you, as you can see over here, here's my login and registration form, in which as of now we are not concentrating on the form UI design, just we are focusing on the functionality. Here is our database. I have created a database named as register, and in which I do have a table named as users, in which we do have three fields. One is email, username and password. Three fields will be used for registering, and for login we are going to be using the two fields. One is username and the second is password. Alright guys, so let's start. Alright, so first we are going to be creating three variables. The first variable is going to be the express variable. The second variable we are going to be creating it for MySQL. And the third variable we are going to be creating it for course. Alright, now the express variable, these three packages are installed in our backend. So how we are going to be importing it in our index.js file? Just use the require keyword and name your package express. Same thing we're gonna do with our MySQL and with our course package. Require MySQL and require course. Great. Now we are going to be creating one more variable, which is going to be named as an app, in which we are going to be calling our express package. Now I will explain you in detail. What we're going to do over here is that we are calling our express package in our app variable. So when we need it, we're just gonna call our app variable, our express package will be running. Great. Now we're gonna select our app and we're gonna be using the use keyword, and we're gonna select our express and convert it into a JSON format. Then app.use, then we are gonna be selecting our course. Now what I'm using over here, I'm selecting my express, and after that I'm calling my third package that is named as course. Now let's come to the main part. Now what we are going to do is we are going to be connecting our backend to our MySQL database. This is the main thing, so please don't skip the video. Watch the video till end to understand how the connectivity happens in detail. So for having the connection between the database, create a variable named as con, that means connection, that equals to select your MySQL variable dot go with the method named as create connection. Here we are going to be having different key with different values. First is going to be our user, second is going to be the host, third is going to be the password, and the last one is going to be your database name. As simple. So remember, in this create connection we do have these different values, so it is an object, so do have a curly braces. Now the user is root by default, the host is of course the local host, and the password is null, so we are going to be keeping it as an empty string. And now name your database. So my database name is register. Great. So now let me align the code so it will be really easy for you all to edit, as I'm going to be providing the source code in my GitHub repository. The link will be provided in the description below. You are free to use it and make changes, and even copy the code and use it in your application. Alright, so now we do have our connectivity into our database. Now what we are going to do over here is that we are going to be calling our listen function. So our React frontend is running in localhost 3000 port number, and the backend will be running in localhost 3001 port number. To run our backend, we are gonna call our app.listen method over here, and now we're gonna be running it in 3001 port number, and then we are gonna call a function to check whether our backend is running or not. In this we are gonna console.log, and we're gonna write like running backend server in simple way. Depends on you, whatever you would like to. For now, I'm going to go with running backend server. Great. So now what I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to be opening the terminal. Alright. In this terminal, I'm going to be selecting my backend directory. So let me just list over here. See, my backend directory is server. After that, in this backend directory, what I'm going to do over here, 2 minutes, we're just going to run nodejs.js file. Nodejs.js. Just press enter to start our backend server. If our connectivity is correct, then it's gonna display us running backend server. If it is not correct, then it's gonna display you the errors. So as you can see over here, it is displaying me that it's running the backend server. That's great. That means everything is going good. Our backend is running. Now let me open my browser over here, and I'm gonna be opening a new tab and gonna run my backend port number 3001. As you can see, I do get an error over here as we have not entered any kind of a code to run in our backend. So let's come back to our code editor. Alright, so now we're going to be creating two things. One is going to be for registering the users and the second one is going to be for logging in the user. So select the app and we're going to be using the post method, and now the URL. The main thing we're going to be specifying over here is the URL to register the user. So for registration form, I'm going to be using the register URL, comma, I'm going to get request and response from the user. In this, we're going to create three variables. One is going to be for email, one is going to be for username, and one is going to be for password. To get it, we're going to request it from our body, that means from front end, and we're going to get the email. Same thing we're going to repeat for our username and password. Request from body the username, request from body the password. Great. Now let's run the MySQL query to insert it into our database table. So select your database connectivity variable, that is con, that equals to run a query of MySQL, just call a query method and run a MySQL query. Insert into my users table. Alright. There's a table named as email, username, and password. Now we're going to be entering the values. So the values, I'm going to be keeping it question mark over here, and after the double quotes add a comma, and now what we need to insert in it, email, username, and password. Great. So we have done that. Now we're gonna see whether everything is working fine or not, whether the data is inserted or not, and display the error. Am I right? So over here we are gonna be having an error and we're going to be having a result. So we're gonna say if our result is correct. I mean to say if the user is inserted into our database, I'm gonna select the response and send the response to result. Send the response as a result to my front end. Else I'm gonna send the response, which is going to be 2 minutes, which is going to be a message. If there's an error while entering the user, that means while registering the user, if the user have entered a wrong details or we are having some issues in our form, we're gonna just go with this, enter correct asked details. Great. So this is the code that we're going to be writing for registering the user into our MySQL database. Let's save it. Now let's come to our login functionality. Just copy the same register code that you have written and paste it below. In login functionality, we are almost gonna do the same. The thing that we're gonna change is the URL. It's going to be login. And over here, we are not gonna be selecting email. We're just gonna go with username and password. Then over here for writing the sign in query, what we're gonna do over here is we're gonna say select all from the users table where username that equals to the username and password that equals to password, and in our brackets we're just gonna have username and password selected. Now in this error and result, we're gonna say if there's an error, we're gonna request that error what we're getting. So request set encoding, in which we're going to be having an error displayed. Else what I'm going to do over here is that I'm just gonna cut this line. I'm not gonna delete it, I'm gonna cut, and we're gonna use if and else loop over here. We're gonna say if my result length is greater than 0, that means if the user exists in our database, we're gonna resend this response to front end, that is going to be the result. That means the user is there and he is successfully logged in. Else we are just gonna paste this response and we're gonna set that you have entered a wrong username or a password that does not exist in our database. So wrong username or password. Alright, that's it guys for the backend functionality, in which you have learned how to insert the data for registering the user and how to log in the user. That means how to collect the data from the database in React application. Alright guys, so now let's come to the front end. And in this front end, what we are going to do over here is that the backend functionality that we have set up over here, we are going to be adding in our front end. So when the user clicks on this button, we're going to call our backend server, in which we're going to call the specific URL in which the function is going to be running and the user will be registered or logged in. Alright guys, so now what you have to do over here is that you need to import the use state hook from React. After importing the use state hook from React in your front end React application, come before your return statement and create the state variables that I'm creating over here. The first state variable is going to be for email. Set email that equals to use state hook, and it's going to be an empty string. I'm gonna copy it and paste it 5 times as I need. The second one is going to be for username. Then we're gonna set the username. Alright. And the third one is going to be for password. And set password. The fourth and the last one is going to be for status. The first one is going to be the login status. And the last one is going to be for register status. Great. After doing this, what we're going to do is we're going to be getting the value from the input. So for doing that, come to your input over here and provide it a on change value. So on change, not on can play, it's going to be an on change. We're going to be getting an event, and what we're going to do over here is that we're going to set the username to the value that is entered by the user. So e.target.value. Same thing we're going to do repeat again for our password and for our registration form. So for saving the time, I'm going to be copying it and pasting it over here. Just gonna change the set keyword to password. Same thing we're gonna do with email, username and password for our registration form. Set email. It's really simple. If you're having any doubt regarding to connectivity to your database, if you're facing some issues, just comment down below, or I will be providing you the Gmail address in which you can just write the error that you're getting, paste the code over there. I will just reply you as soon as possible. Third one is going to be set password. Alright. Alright guys, so now we are all set with our statements. Now what we need over here is that we want when the user clicks on the registration button to create the user, and when the user clicks on the login button to log in the user. So over here we're gonna take an on click value in which you're gonna call that specific function for register function, and for login we're gonna call login function. Simple, naming it as login. That's it guys. Now we are going to be getting an error as we have not created these both functions. So first we're going to be creating the registration function. So scroll to the top. Before your return statement, I'm going to create both of these functions to remove the error. The first function is going to be for registration, and the second function is going to be for login. It is that simple. We have created our two functions. Now we are all set. Now we are going to be getting the event from this function that we are passing from our user input, right? e.target.value that you can see right over here, that we are passing e from this and we are getting it in our function. Now first we are going to be preventing it as default when this function is called. What we need is we don't want to refresh our page, as we are going to be having the login and registration status being displayed over there. Am I right or not? Yeah. After that we're going to select our Axios, in which we are going to be using the post method. And now right over here what we're going to do is that come to your backend, and you can see over here for register we are calling a URL named as register. So when the user clicks on this function, with the help of the post method we're going to be calling that specific URL, that is register, and when we call that specific URL our backend function for registration will be running, right? So how you can call that URL? It is simple, go with HTTP. Remember, don't add HTTPS. If you add S, you're gonna be getting an error and you will be finding where is the error. Same thing happened with me. What I've done is that when I started, means when I just created this project for the tutorial video, by mistakenly I have added HTTPS. Then I was searching the whole code. Where is the error? Oh, then I got over here, that's the error. So please avoid that mistake. Don't go with S. It's HTTP, not HTTPS. Alright guys. After that, select your localhost server, that is 3001, and the URL that you have entered, that is register. Right now we're gonna be getting the values to register it. First is our email that we're gonna get. Then we're gonna get username. Then we're gonna get password. Simple. Now after getting the value after passing the value that we got from the user's input, that the user have entered in the input, to our backend register, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait for then the response that we're gonna get. Alright, in this we're gonna say if, and we're gonna run an if and else loop. We're gonna say over here, if my response dot data dot message. Okay, what I'm going to do over here is that I'm gonna set my register status to that response dot data dot message. That means if we're getting some error. But if our account is created successfully, we're gonna be displaying that your account has been created successfully. So for that we're gonna set our register status to a string, which is going to be account created successfully. Great. Now let me end it with a semicolon. That's it guys. This is the code that we're going to be writing for registering the user into our MySQL database. There's nothing in front end. The main thing is running in our backend. So what we have done, I will explain you in detail, so it will be really helpful for you all guys to understand it in depth. What I'm doing over here, when the register function is called, I'm using my Axios package with the post method and calling my backend server with the register URL. The values that I got from the user I'm passing to this URL, then I'm waiting for the response. If there's an error, I'm gonna get that error message. But if the account is created successfully, what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna set my register status to a string, and you can go with anything you like. I have just gone with account created successfully. Approximately same thing we are gonna do with our login. So what I'm gonna do is, for saving our time, I'm gonna copy the same code and paste it inside my login function. But I'll be changing the URL to the login, and we don't need email, we just need username and password. If we get, now we're gonna set the login status, not the registration status, it is going to be login status. And over here, this is going to be response.data message. But if you have successfully logged in, what we want is that we need to display the user's email address. So how can we do that if the user has successfully logged into his account? We are going to select the response.data index 0, that is matching, and we're going to get the specific email of the user with which he have logged in. And now let's come where we are going to be displaying the status, register status and login status, whether it's an error or whether it's successfully created or logged in. That's going to be our last step. Alright, so let's come to the login form. What I'm going to do over here is that I do have a code already written, so I'm just going to copy, as it's having some stylings provided. I'm just going to paste it over here. Nothing is done over here. I will explain you. We do have an h1 tag, which is having some kind of styling like font size, color, text align and margin from top of 20 pixel. In this, I'm calling my state variable that I have created named as login status in a curly parenthesis. Sorry, same thing we're gonna do with our register. I'm gonna copy. After our input, I'm gonna paste this over here. I'm gonna display my register status. Alright, so now it's time to test whether the functionality is working fine or not. So for that, we're gonna stop our backend server and run it once again. As you can see, it's running successfully. Now what I'm going to do, I'm gonna be opening my browser. Here we go. I'm going to be coming to my database. As you can see here, I do have a users table. I'm going to be refreshing it, and as you can see, there's no user inserted. Let's come to a React application, refresh it once again, and now let's try to register a user. So for now, I'm going to go with the mail named as simple seniordeveloper@gmail.com. Username, I'm going to be entering senior developer. And now let's come to the password. I'm gonna go with 1, 2 and 3. Let's create an account. When I click on create an account, as you can see over here, it is saying that your account is created successfully. Now let's see whether the user is registered into our database or not. Let's come and refresh the page. Boom guys, as you can see over here, the user is registered successfully and our connection is also working perfectly with our React application to our MySQL database. Now let's see whether the login functionality works or not. The username is senior developer. Let's check whether it's catching it's wrong or not. Alright, whether the username is correct or not. Let's go with something blah 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 blah. And password, let's go with something blah 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 blah. Simple. Alright, and click on login. Alright, it's catching that this username and password is wrong. That means with this username and password, the user is not registered. Now let's enter the correct one. Senior developer, password 123, not blah blah. Let's click on login, and as you can see, the user exists. So now we are fetching that specific user's Gmail with whom's username we have logged in with the password, correct credentials. We are displaying that specific Gmail over here, that is seniordeveloper@gmail.com. Alright guys, so now we are all set, and in this video you have learned how to connect your React application with MySQL database in full depth. So this is really amazing. So if you have watched the video till end and if you liked it, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the notification bell. And thank you guys for 1K subscribers. I really appreciate that. Thank you all. Thanks. So, and I will see you in the next amazing tutorial video in which we are going to be continuing our Flutter projects, right? Yeah, we're going to be having next project, that is our to-do application. Alright guys, so let's see you in the next amazing tutorial video.